Manchester City find themselves outside of the top 24 positions in the UEFA Champions League table, knowing that anything but a win would see the unthinkable happen, getting knocked out of the UEFA Champions League in the first league phase. The first ever league phase in this new Champions League format. It would be a disaster class for Manchester City. And as you can see, I've got the league table here, or at least the relevant part of the league table, because the league table is a monstrous list of football clubs. So I've narrowed it down to the relevant football clubs that we can actually overtake in this situation. Of course, you've got Dynamo Zagreb there at the bottom. Club Brugge, that's who we face. Sat currently in the 20th position in the Champions League table with a -2 goal difference, which is key to the whole narrative of this particular section of the table as well. I'm going to go through all the little permutations and possibilities that could happen as well, because it is a fascinating aspect. I think it's really an interesting end to this Champions League table. And I can see why people are on board with this new format in the Champions League, because it's exciting, and it's been exciting from the start to the finish. The group stages, the old group stages, used to have quite boring aspects to it, and even though Manchester City is suffering, you can't deny the entertainment factor. It's there. It's absolutely there. But Club Brugge, they know a draw, they're through, and Manchester City are out. We have to win, which makes it very simple for us. We have to go onto that pitch and attack, get an early lead, preferably. But let's have a look at the possibilities as well. PSV, they face Liverpool. They're on 11 points, but they've got a +3 goal difference, and they're going to want to protect that. They're going to want to protect that with everything they've got, because that's a precious +3 that they've got there in this list of fixtures, list of football clubs that you can see there. Benfica go away to Juventus, which is not an easy tie at all. We found that out the hard way. We've already lost to Juventus ourselves. We lost our last 3 out of our last 4 Champions League games were losses, and we drew the other one, so we haven't won a Champions League games in the last 4 games. So we need to turn this around, and quickly, and tomorrow night we need to do it. I will be doing a watch longer course, Blue, so come and join me for that one. Promises to be an incredibly exciting game. This is a real season-defining moment. I feel like if we win this game and go through into the knockout stages or into the unseeded playoff round, so I mean, once we get into that top 24, and if we get into that top 24, we could face anybody. I mean, absolutely anybody. And there's some monstrous football clubs that we could go up against. Or we could just get the luck of the draw and face a lesser team, let's call it. But we don't know. But we've got to get there first to have that dilemma. So come on, City. Absolutely vital this is. What's I think the most interesting aspect to this league table you can see is PSG face Stuttgart. So 2 of the teams are actually facing each other. And they could draw. And if Club Brugge lose, and PSG and Stuttgart draw, they go through because they've got the better goal difference as well, with PSG on +2, Stuttgart on -1, Club Brugge are on -2. So, I mean, yeah, you could see a very interesting aspect where PSG and Stuttgart actually go through and only draw. Manchester City just know what they've got to do. Sporting Lisbon, they face Bologna. Like I said, PSV against Liverpool, but it's, incredibly exciting, and undefeated in 20 games, Club Brugge, so it's going to be a really, really difficult game. They drew their previous game 0-0 against Juventus, so they know how to get a draw. They even drew at the weekend against Kortrijk in the Belgian Pro League, and I got to be honest, I don't know much about the Belgian Pro League in all honesty. I know they're 3 points behind Genk, so they're going to feel a bit sour, to be honest. You're hoping, because that's a draw that wasn't expected. They're expected to beat Kortrijk and close the gap on Genk a little bit better than they have done. But still, they are seemingly a draw specialist, and a draw is a disaster for Manchester City, because we need to win. There's no 2 ways about it. Right, team news. Let's have a look at the team news before I go into my predicted starting 11. Oscar Bob is back in training. I'm not sure he's going to feature, and I doubt you'll see him. You might see him against Arsenal, and I think that's a push, to be honest. You may see him on the bench, but I doubt it. But he is back in training following that fracture, which is amazing news. So we've got more attacking potency for Manchester City as options for the rest of the season, which is great news. Rodri, of course, is out. Diaz is out. Doku's out. Ake is a doubt for Manchester City. So I do think you're going to see this. What I've got on my screen, well, not this exactly, to be honest. I do expect 2 changes, because what's on your screen right now is the 11 that started the game against Chelsea. That beat Chelsea, don't forget. But I am going to make 2 changes. So what you actually saw once the game took place, you actually saw Marmoush inverting a little bit, Phil Foden inverting a little bit, and you had a bit more of a balance to Manchester City with Gvardiol and Nunes coming very far forward, and these 2 often left at the back, but that was often with the ball. But I thought these 3 in the middle, Gundogan, Kovacic and Bernardo Silva, did a really, really good job. and Marmoush and Phil Foden getting inside, getting behind Erling Haaland and create as many avenues as possible for him. And we saw a lot of the long ball going over the top, which is, I mean, with Ederson being in between the sticks, will you see Ederson start? I'm not sure that's going to be as necessary, because I don't think you're going to see a man-to-man from Club Brugge. I'll be very surprised if Club Brugge come and employ a man-to-man against Manchester City like Chelsea did with that incredibly high line where we saw us going over the top of them. I can't see that happening, in all honesty. So putting the teams back into the formation on paper, at least, there are 2 substitutions that I would make, and I think it's a case to go for it. I think we need to go for it because Gundogan offers the balance, because he offers that defensive. He's not a defensive midfielder, but he's more of a defensive midfielder than Kevin De Bruyne. But considering the circumstances, knowing the facts that Manchester City have to win this game, I would take Gundogan out of the frame. I really would, and I'd put Kevin De Bruyne in there. And still employ the same system. I would also remove Kushinov, and apologies to the Uzbeks watching, but I just feel like this is 1-2 game. It's so important. We can't have nerves in this game. I'm sorry. We saw it against Chelsea. I said we shouldn't have started him against Chelsea, and we saw why. We saw exactly why. But I still believe there's a huge future for him, and it's just this isn't the right time to play him. And we need to be patient with him and expect to see him against maybe Leyton Orient or something like that, where we'll see maybe Vita Heist play as well, which would be interesting. But John Stones came on for the second half against Chelsea and did very, very well. Very strong, very composed. Not that much to do, in all honesty, but he showed his experience, so I would expect to see the same again. Formation-wise, I think similar, to be honest. Again, invert Marmoush and Foden, but maybe ask Kevin De Bruyne to push in there and have Bernardo Silva and Kovacic a bit more of a sitters, and end up with a slightly 4-2-3 system, but with still these 2 coming forward, which is bold, it's brave, and it's incredibly aggressive. Incredibly aggressive and very, very vulnerable. Manchester City could be exposed with this system. And it's concerning, but we know the score. We know what we have to do. We have to go onto that pitch and win. And you play Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Marmoush. I can't see Club Brugge defending, no matter how disgusting a low block they employ against us. I just can't see them stopping the chance creation of those 3 behind Erling Haaland, knowing the circumstances. It is just the other way. It's the other end of the pitch with the gaps that Gvardiol and Nunes. And what we saw against Chelsea was a symmetrical balance between the 2, because when Nunes came forward, Gvardiol often protected this area of the pitch and allowed John Stones and Akanji to come forward, to stay back, with Nunes to go forward rather. And when Gvardiol went forward, you often saw it the opposite way on the other side of the pitch. And it was that pushing and pulling nature of those 2 on the outside. You rarely saw both of them going forward together. You know, it was well timed, and they often observed one another to see what each other was doing. And I think that's going to be just as important in this game to prevent any sort of transitions against Club Brugge. I think we're going to win, though. I do think we're going to win. I think we're going to use the confidence we gained against Chelsea, go into this game against Club Brugge. I think we're going to score 4 goals. I'm hoping we can keep a clean sheet, but I'm going to go 4-1. You just don't want it to be 1-0 Club Brugge. I think we can go 2-3 up, maybe concede a goal, and then show your mettle, Manchester City. Show what your bottle's all about. Show that mentality that's been frail all season. Because every time we've conceded a goal this season, we've gone on to concede a second, and even worse, a third. PSG's case, a fourth. So come on. We've got to try and keep a clean sheet, and if you do concede, do not panic. Blues, what's your predictions? I'm going to go 4-1. Get in the comments below. Let me know your predictions. And don't forget to join me for the watch along. It's going to be a feisty one. Take care, Blues, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical City now. Holding up Silva.